Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a very simple and cleansing soup. I don't want you to get caught up on the recipe because, to be honest, you can use any ingredients that you have in your house. When we're talking about a cleansing vegetable soup, we're looking for anything that grows from the earth. Things like sweet potatoes, zucchini, carrots, beets, sometimes beets, though I don't often throw beets in my soup. These are the kinds of vegetables that you want to put into an earthy, warming soup for a night for cleansing. It's going to be a bit more filling. I'm going to show you how to actually make it. I can give you recipes, though I really want you to become confident in choosing ingredients that work for you and that you enjoy to eat. If you like the ingredients that you're putting in your soup, most likely, as long as you know how to properly make a soup, which I'm about to show you, you're going to enjoy the way that your soup tastes. If you want to do a deeper cleanse, you can add more water to your soup to make it thinner, a bit more runny. It will still have flavor, but it'll be more of a cleansing soup than a nourishing soup. Okay, if you have any questions about that, just let me know and I can answer. And then I can also let you know when you do less water, then you're gonna have a thicker soup, which is not gonna be as cleansing, because imagine that the more watery soup is more like a juice cleanse. So that's good on a juice cleanse day. But when you're about to transition back into food, that's when you're gonna wanna do a thicker soup with less water and just have the ingredients, the vegetables in the soup be the base of the nourishment for you. So we're gonna dive in. I'm gonna show you some techniques when we're cooking soup that will help you from here on out. Please enjoy, and if you have any questions, let me know. I'd like to note that yesterday I started prepping the ingredients for this soup, and that's something that you can do also, and prepping vegetables is really helpful. I have a video on how to prep and store vegetables, which I can share with you, but I just want to show you. I cut onions yesterday, and then I stored them in a container with a little bit of salt. Halachically, you need to add a little bit of salt to onions if you're going to store them in the fridge, otherwise it's not kosher. I don't know the details about that, but I used to run a restaurant and that's what my mashgiach told me, so that's what I go by. And I also soaked orange lentils yesterday because I'm going to be making a lentil dish and I just didn't have time to make it. So again, I just stored those also, and they're ready for cooking because I already soaked them. The soaking process of grains is something that I don't know if Yardena or Devorah are going to get into in this, but I can talk a little bit about that if that's something that interests you. All right, let's go. Put your cooking pot over medium heat and let it heat up. Once it's hot, add oil. We're going to then add the minced garlic, which we prepped before. It's always good to prep more garlic than you need for one dish so that you can use it for later on cooking. Once that's become golden brown, you're going to add your onions. To your onions, you're going to add a little bit of salt. I use Himalayan pink salt. This is the only point during the cooking process where I add salt because salt helps release waters from the onion, and releasing of the water from the onion is going to help in the caramelization process. Keep your pot covered while you're caramelizing your onions, and then once the onions start to stick to the bottom of the pot, and I'm sure the bottom starts to get a little bit brown, take a cup of water and just put in a little splash of water, and you'll see that all that golden brown from the bottom goes right into your onions. At this point, you can add in the rest of your ingredients. Add a drizzle of olive oil and your spices. I just used garlic powder and paprika. We want to keep spices very simple on a cleanse because your taste buds are very sensitive as your body is cleansing. Keep the pot covered and stir occasionally. You'll be stirring these vegetables without any added water or anything else for about 20 minutes before you add water. Once we add the water, we're going to be cooking the soup for 45 minutes, so this is a great time to do more food prep to get us ready for this cleanse. What I'm going to do now is use the rest of my already prepped ingredients to make a lentil dish. So we begin by putting our pan over medium heat, add the garlic, caramelize it like we did before, add the remainder of our prepped onions with a little bit of salt, the same technique as we used before. Again, getting it to caramelize. Once the bottom starts to turn a little bit brown, we add a splash of water. Again, bringing all of that golden brown deliciousness from the bottom of the pan up and into the onions. And now we're ready to add in the red lentils that we've already soaked and rinsed from yesterday. It's really important to rinse red lentils because they have this soapy whatever it is on them, and it's really important to wash that off. Now we're going to add our spices delicately, as mentioned before. When we add turmeric, it's important to add a teeny pinch of black pepper to help our body absorb those nutrients. After about 20 minutes of stirring the vegetables for the soup, you'll notice that they have reduced quite a bit, and you can add enough water just to the level that the vegetables are at. Bring that water to a boil and reduce to a simmer for 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes. Once your lentils start sticking to the bottom of the pan, that's when you can add your tomato sauce. So this is a can of crushed tomatoes with no added ingredients. It's really important to check the ingredients in your crushed tomatoes so that you can keep this as clean as possible. Continue occasionally stirring your lentils, and once those start to stick to the bottom of the pan, it's now time to add water to your lentil dish. Cover your lentils by about an inch of water, so that's like an inch above the top of the lentils, and you're going to cook for an hour and 15 minutes. We'll see you soon. I want to show you that I have stored my kale for a week now in this bag. This bag is cleaned kale. It was soaked, rinsed in soap, rinsed thoroughly to make sure that all the bugs come out of the kale. Kale can be tricky. There's curly kale and dinosaur flatleaf kale. The dinosaur flatleaf kale is easier to clean for bugs because you can see it. The curly kale is filled with bugs quite often. So you really have to check it really well, get in all the nooks and the crannies. But I'm going to show you that this kale, when I unwrap it, it's still high quality because it's dry. There's no moisture in here because I've wrapped bundles of kale, and I have a video showing you how to do that, so I'll send that your way. Now I'm going to chop this to add it to our lentils. Add your kale directly to your already cooked lentil dish while it's still hot, and just stir it together. You'll see the kale is fresh, it's bright, it's green. We're adding the greens into our dish, which is always important. It's going to help us with our cleanse, and it's going to make this dish even more packed with nutrients. Let's talk about blending equipment. Here we have an immersion blender. This does a good job of blending, but it's going to keep your soup nice and chunky. So if that's what you're going for, the immersion blender is going to be your friend. If I want to make the soup thinner, I can just add a little bit of water and blend it. With the immersion blender, like we just used, you're going to see that it's thick. It's not like really smooth and airy. If you want really smooth and airy, we're going to transfer it to the Vitamix, a high-speed blender, which is my best friend. I love the Vitamix. It was the first large purchase that I ever purchased. I love the Vitamix, and will always speak highly about the Vitamix. You're going to see the soup that comes out of that one. This is the consistency right now. It's chunky. It's kind of like baby food. It's yummy. I tasted it. The flavor is fantastic. Very rich flavor because we let the vegetables cook first, and then we added the water. But now I'm going to transfer it to my Vitamix with a spatula. Use a spatula so that there's no waste. And now, even before adding more water, I'm just going to show you the difference that the Vitamix makes on this soup. It's very smooth, but it's still thick, so I'm just going to add a little bit of water, about a half a cup. I ended up adding more water. It's always good to start with less and add more. It's way easier to add water than to take it away. And then you can see. A delicious bowl of soup, super creamy, super airy because of the Vitamix. Otherwise it's chunky, remember? Enjoy. Pick what you like.